Hi there. Welcome to another week of Focus. I'm Tala, guiding you and focusing on very important conversations in the Middle Tennessee area. One that I know, you know, your sister knows, the mailman knows. Mental health, a very, very big conversation, a very vague conversation. But we're going to talk about many different ways you can find help and how the community can be a huge resource you never thought of. So today we're joined by founder and CEO with the rockin' pantsuit, but she's not wearing one. She's wearing a beautiful dress today. Courtney Grimes, founder and CEO of The Collective. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having us and having a focus on mental health. I feel like nobody's talking about it, even though it is such a giant sort of unspoken conversation. Does that make any sense?
Why?
I don't know. I think there's
so
a lot
annoying.
of stigma.
Still?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really weird because I'm in therapy. I take meds. I'm very open about it.
Think about like how different the world would be if everybody you knew had a therapist.
Right.
Come on.
A better world.
A better world.
Absolutely. I think that this is such a great way to even kind of start the conversation. I was just talking about this with my husband the other day. I was like, maybe you should consider therapy. He was like, I don't need therapy. Well, I don't think anyone needs it. I think you don't need to go when things are actually haywire in your life. It's preventative.
Exactly. So many people end up in my office after everything has exploded. And what breaks my heart is even if something isn't exploding in your life right now, there are underlying patterns with the way that you think, the way that you react, the way that you make decisions in your life that can prevent things from blowing up.
Yeah.
Whether it's, a job or your marriage or your relationship with your kids or even your own emotional well-being. You don't need to wait until everything has hit the ceiling before you call somebody like me.
It's honestly, I think people fail to realize how preventative care actually works 100%. And it can be definitely found in a social work space. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about you. First and foremost, I am obsessed with you.
Oh, no.
The interview's over. I'm just obsessed with you. I love you. And I even told you if I wasn't already set up with a wonderful therapist here in Middle Tennessee, I would be knocking on your door.
Breaking some stuff down.
We would be. But that does not mean that other people that are listening cannot take advantage of the wonderful spirit that you are. I would love to know, first of all, about your background because you mentioned opera was your background.
Yes. So I have been studying opera and classical piano since I was 4 and started doing it a little more, not professionally, but like really hardcore classically training when I was 11 and got pretty good at it. And so I got a round of degrees in opera and piano 100 years ago. And then moved to Nashville and entered the music industry, the business side, not the performance side, obviously, because, there's such a giant market for opera.
Here in Nashville, I think someone told me that we're kind of good about music here.
Yeah, opera is just huge. Just kidding.
I actually, honestly, that's actually a really cool conversation to have because when we think of Nashville, obviously we think of country, but we think about music in general. But opera has not come to mind. I think of New York when I think of opera.
As you should. Or like Vienna.
Yeah, or really where they're doing it correctly.
Which I hear is lovely this time of year. Never been.
We should go.
I know, we should go.
That'll solve all of our mental health problems.
It probably will, honestly.
Yeah. Well, let me talk about that, because I would love to know about the transition from opera into mental health. I can imagine along the way, somewhere you saw a gap and you needed to fill it.
Yes. Okay, so I moved to Nashville because when you study classical music your entire life, and then you turn 18, 19, 20 around in there and you realize, oh my gosh, there's a whole commercial side to this industry. It's not just the Met. I really wanted to learn that side of it. I felt like I had been studying the classical side. I wanted to learn the commercial side. So I moved to Nashville and worked at this from being in the music industry. It's very incestuous. Everybody knows everybody. Everybody's worked with everybody and you bounce around a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I did a lot of PR for record labels. I worked with Sony Records. I worked with DreamWorks Records. Used to take artists up and down red carpet, doing PR, interview, things like that. Moved out of the PR space into promo.
Okay.
Which was
more advertising,
more radio.
Oh, more radio.
Yeah. Taking artists.
You should be on this side of this.
So getting everybody on the getting what Raf does.
Yeah.
So did that for a little while, and then I felt like the music industry was just sort of sucking the soul directly out of my body. It was just not. It was not for me. I ended up doing a lot of personal assistant work for a couple of celebrities. Lived in LA for a while, moved back, and I just thought this is not where I'm supposed to be. But in that 10-year interim, I became very, mentally and physically ill. I developed a raging eating disorder, really bad troubles with alcohol, as a lot of people, I think, in any entertainment space can develop, because it's kind of, I mean, it just seemed like this big party all the time, and everybody was sort of like working on the side, more peripherally.
Like that was the lifestyle.
Yeah. And
nonstop.
Let me tell you, when you're in your early 20s, that was awesome. And it was the turn of the century, like late 90s.
Yeah.
That was it. But it started to wear on me and wear kind of on my spirit. And I went through a recovery process with the most phenomenal therapist, the most phenomenal recovery team. And when I came out on the other side of that recovery process, I thought, this is too electric. This is too incredible to not spend the rest of my life dedicated to pulling other people out of these types of holes. So I went back to school when I was 30 and got a whole second round of degrees. And this is my calling in my life. This is what I believe I was put on this planet to do, is to help other people out of dysfunction, out of addiction, out of mental health struggles that sometimes are intergenerational. You know, not all of us are born onto the unequal playing field. A lot of us are born with pre-existing generational kind of stuff, whether it's addiction, whether it's trauma, abuse, whatever that is. Or if it's something that kind of pops up in your lifetime, it all lands us kind of in the same spot.
Or many people also are born with these just chemical imbalances
100%.
that is just biological and anatomical, that it's just something you can't even control.
You don't even know.
You don't even know where it came from.
Because it's been so normalized, because this is just how your life is, and this is just how your parents are, and whatever. But
so what you're actually saying is something that I've been trying to scream from the rooftops for so long, and forgive me for not having the right degrees to say this with such confidence. We all have mental health.
I think, yeah, if you have a brain, which I'm going to tell you, I've met some people, mostly on the highway driving, that I'm not sure they have a brain. But if you have a brain, that organ needs attention.
Yeah,
it's an organ. It needs attention from a specialist.
And it's really, I'm so sick and tired of using this analogy. I can't tell you how many times I use it in this chair, out of this chair, in my life, with loved ones, without loved ones. Why is it that you're questioning, if you're not questioning if my leg is broken? Yeah. Why are you questioning that my brain is?
100%. If you have a heart attack, you're going to go to a cardiologist. If there's something going on with the way that you think or the way that you are emotionally reacting, patterns of behavior that keep you stuck or cause problems in your life, it's not your fault. You are stuck. You simply need to learn how to reprogram the computer that's between your ears. And I want to be very clear that is a computer that has been programmed, whether it's been programmed from your lifetime or you were born into a system of programming, one or the other, right? But this thing's been programmed. And what we don't understand is that we have the power to reprogram it, to rewire that into something that like works a little bit better. You're not stuck. We can rewire that into a machine that works better for you and promotes you in your life instead of sabotages it. And
you can't do it alone. I think that is, we are all capable, like you mentioned. I don't think it's as easy to do it on your own, or maybe you're incapable of doing it on your own. And that's why there are licenses and certifications and people just like you that are in these roles to walk them through the other side.
That's right. I think it's invaluable to have an objective, educated viewpoint on what's going on with your computer, with your machine. So for instance, what's going on in my computer, in my machine, I think that's me. I think that's my life. I think that's normal. That's just Courtney. But you as my therapist could say, actually, do you know what that's called? It's this, and it's really common. Does it cause you problems? Cool. Let's rewire that.
Yeah. And putting a name to something has severely changed even my own life as well. It's allowed me to research it. It's allowed me to normalize it. It's allowed me to know that I'm not alone. And it's allowed me to find out how to fix it. So let's talk about the collective. Obviously, then you kind of realized this is something that I got to do in a space where maybe social work can feel overly inundated and maybe overly saturated. How does the collective stand apart? And it seems like the model does that.
I am so glad thank you so much for asking. I would love to tell you about that. So I have been in private practice as a psychotherapist for the better part of 16 years. The first 10 years of my practice, I noticed that there was a gap in care. So I treat primarily women, girls, and families in my practice. And for a lot of my girls, they needed more than I was able to do for them in weekly therapy. They needed a bump. They needed a jump start. They needed a little more intense, sort of a lean in. And what I had realized over and over and over and over with all of my clients, they're all coming in presenting with these different issues, whether it's, I have anxiety, I have panic attacks, or I'm depressed, I can't get out of bed, or I'm failing in school, or I'm failing at my job, or my marriage is falling apart, whatever it is, right? We would trace it back to mental health issues. We trace it back to trauma. We trace it back to a chemical imbalance. We would trace it back to depression, anxiety, et cetera, et cetera. What I was finding was that in my field, in American mental health practice, we are trained to kind of stop there. That's the issue. There's something going on with that computer between your ears. We are trained to fix it and then send you on your way. The problem with that is that a lot of my girls are they're like frequent flyers in and out of treatment, in and out of therapy. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Why are people in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out with the same cycle, the same presenting factors over and over and over?
Do you feel like it was a Band-Aid fix, or do you think that they didn't receive enough care?
I think it could be a little bit of both. But what I noticed was that we weren't asking the right questions. Why is everybody so sad? Why is everybody so afraid? Why does everybody immediately hate each other? In my opinion, what I was seeing, the pattern is a social illness. We are afraid of each other. We feel lonely. We think that nobody's going to understand what's going on in our brain. There's so much shame and stigma that's still attached to this kind of stuff.
Or someone has told you they don't understand. Or
someone has told you that you're crazy. You're the problem, So a lot of the depression, the anxiety, the traumatization that I'm seeing with my clients, it's social harm. Somebody's hurt you in some way. And we all have different reactions to that, whether it's, I'm going to isolate and never, ever put myself out there again, or I'm going to go the other way and be very gregarious and maybe promiscuous. I'm going to go too far the other way, trying to prove myself. But what I had seen was that social wounds and just American social illness causes a lot of these mental health issues. Mental health issues for a lot of us are not the root issue. Those are coming from somewhere. And nobody's addressing that root issue, which is the fact that we are all the same animal. We are all way more alike than we are different. And if we can just learn to do life better outside of a vacuum, a lot of this stuff is going to go away. So I created the Collective, which is an 8-week program to address mental health issues through a social health lens. We don't get sick in a vacuum, and we cannot get well in one either. It takes all of us. So what happens if you come to me for individual therapy and I scoop you up and you and I do great individual work and you feel good in your body, in your mind as an individual? What happens when I put you back down in a lunchroom full of other 10th graders who are talking about you? What happens when you go back home to your abusive husband? What happens if you go back to your job where everybody's toxic? You're going to go right back to the old ways that you have been using to cope with all of these things.
You're overworked because you're having to remember all the things that you learned in therapy, and no one else is being accountable.
Nobody cares.
No one cares. You're having to do 10 times the amount of work in your mental health and your life. Your nervous system is overloaded, even though you're trying to dysregulate. You're trying to regulate your nervous system, but it's also getting thrown back into dysregulation constantly.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly it. So the point of our curriculum and the point of our program is to teach you how to do life well in any community that you're plopped down into, how to survive and, dare I say, thrive in a world that doesn't owe you anything. So, for example, say you come to me, you are discharged from drug and alcohol rehab, and you've been sober for 3 months. You've been in the treatment bubble where everybody's besties and everybody's sober and everybody has the 12 steps and everybody supports each other, right? But then you're discharged from that rehab and you come home and your husband's like, no, I'm going to have a beer when I watch the game.
Yeah.
Or you're driving up and down the highway and you see alcohol billboards everywhere in America. Yeah. Or you're like, I love to go to Titans games, but I can't because there's alcohol. Do you see how small your life is about to get?
Yeah.
I have to protect your work and your recovery and teach you how to thrive in America where we're all drinking.
Give me a way that this 8-step program, when you said you come home and your husband wants to crack open a beer. Does your 8-step program involve having the husband come in and be a part of this healing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So not only do we teach you through our group centric work how to do life well with people who are nothing like you, but we also have to change the system. So social work is about systems work, and systems work does not become effective in lieu of individual work, but in addition to.
Okay.
Right? So we have to also work with your system. If you are a part of a toxic system or a dysfunctional system and you get well, the whole system is forced to either change with you and evolve or fall away. So we teach people how to protect their own individual work without demonizing anybody else, without trying to control anybody else, without having to place their well-being outside of themselves, which then frees you up to be a part of any community that you desire to be a part of.
And I really love that we're talking about this too, because you had mentioned something just now about how it's either really forcing people to evolve with you or to just simply
not for me.
That's
it.
Which is a great lesson to learn in anything. And sometimes these can be people that are very close to you.
Yes.
Family members. These can be people that you're forced to see every day in your job and your workplace, and your livelihood depends on it. So this isn't a situation where, I really am not that affected by people that much, or I have the ability to take myself out when I need to. There are times where that is just nearly impossible, or it feels wrong because of just the dynamics that it's a family member, a mother to a daughter, a child to a parent, different things like that. I'd love to talk a little bit about obviously the collective and the, what those 8 steps look like. Can you kind of walk me through them?
Yes, absolutely. So there are first of all, I will say this, there are 2 big barriers to people being able to do something like this for themselves. One is schedule. The second is money. So I made sure to design the program around those 2 things to make sure that if someone needed or wanted this, there's nothing in their way. The first thing that we do is we allow all of our clients to design their own schedule. So it's not like, okay, you've got to leave school or work 3 days a week for 5 hours to come. So we do this by having closed cohorts that are about 4 people, 4, maybe 5 people. I keep them very small. Each cohort is made up of folks that are entirely different from each other. That's by design. That is a microcosm of the real world.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to be in real life. You're going to have one person in the group who's never been in therapy before. You're going to have somebody else who's fresh home from rehab. You're going to have somebody else who's going through a divorce. You're going to have somebody else with an eating disorder. That's real life. And I need everybody's ish to show up in that cosm, in that cohort, so that they can learn to work that out in a safe space in real time. So because the cohorts are small, you guys get to pick when you meet. So we can move around scheduling in that way. The second thing that I developed is a separate 501c3. It is a nonprofit run by a board of directors, and they fundraise under that umbrella. And that acts as a treatment scholarship. So anybody who doesn't have insurance, who doesn't have the money to finance something like this, we got you. We got you. You can apply for scholarship as well. So over the 8 weeks, people have group, which the whole program is orbited around the curriculum in the group. They also see a therapist every single week. They see a private dietitian every single week, what we feed ourselves, what we don't feed ourselves, how much water, supplements, medications all of that's working together to create symptoms that will mimic mental health symptoms. So we've got to look at we got to look at what you're putting in the animal. You get an hour a week with a nurse practitioner. She works on everything from alcohol use to sleep hygiene to prescriptive medication to supplemental medication. What's fascinating is that the model that we use, the curriculum model that we use, we end up taking people off of their meds more than we put people on their meds.
Which honestly, don't even get me started on that conversation.
Yes.
As someone who is on medication, I sometimes wonder how much this is actually helping me.
Yep.
instead of learning how to survive without it.
Sure. And now I'm not saying that pharmaceuticals are not necessary. Absolutely. However, another issue that this is another TED Talk for another time, but another issue I have with American healthcare is that we just throw pills at everybody and expect that to just solve everybody's problems.
Especially mental health.
But there's no community driven, like, this is how I can do life well with other people. I'm just going to keep being medicated until I'm almost a zombie and I'm missing my life. So we have this nurse practitioner who is very holistic, who will look at everything. If you guys decide you want to go on meds, we will do that. But a lot of times we have people coming to us who are on all the meds, who have done all the things, and it's not working. She'll take people off of meds because the program curriculum is so powerful that people start to feel really empowered in their own life. And these symptoms of depression, these symptoms of anxiety are falling away. So the medication is no longer needed. We have family coaching because, again, the family work is really, really important, especially for our teenagers. And then we also have therapeutic trauma-informed massage. And I get a lot of weird looks with that. But if you've noticed, most of us live kind of from the neck up. We're real heady. We live in our heads.
Should we give everyone listening a reminder to unclench their jaw right now?
Yeah, everybody just kind of unclench your jaw, lower your shoulders, take a breath, right? So what that does is reincorporate touch and bring the body and the brain back together, because those two entities are trying so desperately to work in tandem. And most of us cut ourselves off from the neck down and demonize everything we see. We hate it. I hate my body. It's fat. It's stupid. It's ugly. All the things, right? And so we live in our heads and judge our body. But instead, there has to be some integration. So there's a lot of integration. There's a lot of holistic work with this, and it is all very community and relationship based. And when you focus on I'm telling you, when you focus on a social health platform, the mental health issues seem to just sort of exfoliate off because you feel seen and loved and a part of something bigger than yourself. And you know how to then take that feeling and take the tools that we give you and turn around and go home and retool all of your systems to perpetuate the feeling. I can't tell you how many of our clients will get really excited, come back and be like, I taught my best friends. I taught my cheerleading squad. I taught the department at work. I taught my parents. I taught my spouse. Everything I've learned, and it's made all of our relationships so much better. We're so much happier. I'm not as depressed. I don't have panic attacks, things like that.
I can't believe I'm even saying this because of how much advancement has been in the mental health space, but this is very innovative and honestly so unique. And at first, I didn't know what to expect when speaking with you. I was like, okay, it's community driven.
What does that mean?
Awesome. Great. No, you are so right. And I'm literally having an epiphany right now because it really is almost the one thing that no one has cracked the code on to actually stop allowing things to continuously occur.
Bingo.
So somebody who is a frequent flyer in therapy or someone who's been in therapy multiple times and they're like, I think I'm just going to live like this.
Yeah.
I'm unfixable.
Yes.
I'm broken. Mm-hmm. This is so important. And I honestly, and I have to tell you, I hold on a personal level, a lot of resentment to the community that they're not accountable for the way they treat others.
Amen.
And I understand that the world doesn't even owe you anything. So they kind of lean into that. They're like, well, I really don't even owe you this. So I don't know why you hate me, whatever. But if people only realize that how other people interact with them can severely, drastically improve or decline their own mental health. It is absolutely insane. I'm so happy that you found the secret sauce to that because this is so innovative and it's happening right here in our city. People are like, we have the best city in the world. And I'm like, I know because Courtney Grimes is here 100%.
Tell the others.
We are doing that right now. This goes by so quick. We have 4 minutes left. I want to know how people can get in touch with you, how they can start that process with you for them or someone they know, or someone's just a really reflective human being right now. And they're like, I think I need to be a better human being for other people and get enrolled in this.
Oh, please reach out. Our phone number is on our website. It's 615-208-3397. Our website is My Collective Care. We offer tons of programming. So we have our curriculum that's also available for executive coaching, company coaching. We can take it into the workplace and retool systems in business, which I think is so important.
Yeah.
So important. We have individual therapy options. We have individual dietetic options. Whatever you need, I will do whatever I can do to get you that resource, even if it's not us. Even if it's not us. If you call us and you need something that we somehow cannot provide for you, I will immediately connect you with the people who can. I don't want anybody hearing this to think that they are on their own, to think that they live in a vacuum and there's no one out here who cares about you. I do. This is why I'm here. This is exactly why I believe that I was born and put on this planet. This is my calling in this life. So if anybody is hearing my voice, who needs help, who feels like they're at the end of their rope, who contemplates life on a daily basis, or even if you just feel, you know what, I'm in therapy and I just feel stuck. Or even if you feel like, you know what, I really need a little bit more. I really need to know how to love and receive love, how to do life well in communities and protect my mental health and get some tools. Call us, call me. We will take very, very good care of you.
Yeah, this is honestly such a really great conversation because it's a reminder for somebody that you don't have to be in therapy, or if you are in therapy, you are eligible, if not even more, because it's in addition to.
That's right. Again, so it's the piece that, well, we do a lot of individual therapy, obviously, with our program, but I think what my field leaves out is the other half of the equation, which is the relationship-based part of it,
absolutely.
The community-based part of it.
Well, obviously, and I also heard you say this earlier, people can talk about, they can set up their schedule. It's very, very, easy and comfortable for people to, work with their schedule. How many times can someone actually come and use the collective?
Oh my gosh, as many as they want. And one more thing I will say, anybody who goes through the program can come back and join another group totally for free.
Oh, wow.
Anytime they want. So if they need a tune-up later on, if they're in a different phase of life.
And who doesn't?
Who doesn't? Or even if you get done with your 8 weeks and you're like, gosh, I'm just now starting to make some progress. I want to do the next. Great, let's go. Totally free.
Yeah, because, to be honest with you, I mean, you might think that the amazing 12-week session you had with your therapist when you were 25 years old is going to hold you for the rest of your life. And it probably will in a lot of ways, but there are so many things that are going to come up until the end of the road for you. And the collective is there to pick you up when you fall every single time. So, Courtney, thank you so much for an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm obsessed with you. She asked for tequila when she first got here. So I'm like, we're in great company. Courtney, thank you again. We're going to have all this information and more because you're going to want to see it on our Focus Facebook page. And we will see you next week as we take a deeper dive and focus into more issues in Middle Tennessee.